but you'll also have the other game. I'm gonna go to now. Oop. Boom, and we're back. Part 2. Okay. In a 3-sack on Numbani as well. Numbani, great defensive map for Symmetra, although a little bit more vulnerable now that dive comp is in vogue. It's very hard to cover both sides and absolutely cover everything. On attack, it can kind of work if you're brute forcing, if you have a very good pushing team, with like a Reinhardt, for example, that has balls. What you do is you just put the barrier out in front of him and then just walk out and use the combined barriers to do it. You can also go under and just sort of push through there very hard with the barrier, and then try and get into like the back and then try and build up there. You can actually work quite effectively with that. But the key is trying to get through their initial defense, and then once you are through, trying to set up as quickly as you can. You're not really necessarily looking to set up on the point, but more around the point, and just get some quick kills is what I would at least be looking for. What I suspect, though, is that if the enemy team does very well, and let's actually go forward, do you have a team lineup? So we're already sort of seeing problems with the team lineup. First and foremost, there's just not enough defense for this. So basically, if you think about how this push is going to work, these two can work sort of independently, because they can climb walls, they can go in independent angles. They don't really have to care so much. Zenyatta as a solo healer is garbage, just because 30 heals per second is not enough to keep a team alive. You want Mercy, Ana, maybe Lucio, but I'd say Mercy or Ana, it's almost a must-have. But with this team comp, you're really looking... You could actually probably get away with the Lucio here, just to make the Symmetra more effective. It would also probably help the McCree and the Roadhog a bit. The Roadhog should definitely be a Reinhardt. I don't like the Roadhog here, because he's just going to walk forward once the barrier floats away. He's just going to die. McCree's also going to probably have a hard time finding a good approach. Let's say, like, if you are running a 3-sack, you should be looking to balance with the rest of the team. So I'd definitely probably say that this guy should probably be swapping and playing the Reinhardt. An offensive Symmetra question mark? It's not impossible, but it's difficult. Very difficult. If their team is defending out here, you actually have a good shot. But this is sort of part of the problem, where you don't have a barrier. This is seeming very cowardly to me, though. So one of the advantages of having your own Roadhog is that if this Roadhog, like if you all just advance mid and you just run at this Reinhardt with a barrier in front of you, and then just get to this Reinhardt, he is stuck. He is in a shitty position at the moment. He is actually in a terrible position right now, because what you can do is you just put a barrier out, you run forward, and then you just have the Roadhog follow you. And what's Reinhardt going to do? If you run around him, is he going to turn around? Okay, Roadhog hooks him. Is he going to start swinging at you? Roadhog hooks him. Is he going to keep his barrier up? You kill him, you kill Mercy, you kill other people. It creates a sort of a no-win situation. This is part of why this positioning is so bad, is because this is just so exploitable. And we get sort of a bonus where this happens. So we know Roadhog's hooks down. So we're safe with that as well. So honestly, like, backing away here just seems completely nonsensical to me. Like, we are not effective at medium range. This barrier is already quite low as well. This Reinhardt is horrifically out of position, and should not be defending here, because it's so easy to just get a surround on him and just push into him. He should be defending more up on high ground. You've got a McCree as well who can come in and help. You've got the Zenyatta, you've got the Genji as well who can come around and flank with you. This should be a push into him and kill. And the fact that I'm guessing that might have been a deflect, actually. So they might have a Symmetra of their own, but they might not. On the Mercy, I think they do have a Symmetra of their own. Yes, they do. We're a higher charge. We win this fight. Push in. And then there's a Torbjorn turret. Feels bad, man. You get killed by it. And honestly, at this point, your team should just be able to win here. Let's see what happens. The biggest problem with offensive Symmetra is team morale. I'd say the biggest problem with offensive Symmetra is range. You can't do anything until she closes the gap, and she needs to set up. Like, Symmetra at a maximum effectiveness is when she's set up with all 6 turrets, has a shield generator down, and is in close range. Doing that on offensive is extremely difficult. And turrets like these, to me, are just completely pointless. Like, completely and utterly pointless. The enemy team, especially at higher levels, as you get better and better and better, the enemy team will never contest down here. They'll never be fighting this. By the way, thank you, Tark XT, for the beautiful 5 months for once. Almost 5 months. 5 months soon. Like, if they're smart, they'll just never come down here. They never need to. And so, they like, the Roadhog notices the turrets, the hook is good, gets a kill. But we're not moving forward. And, like, this teleporter isn't even doing anything. It can get people here, but literally what you've got here, their Symmetra has over here. So we're just stalemating ourselves. And we're just causing problems. Like, we're not actually advancing until the Rotor can punish, but it's so difficult to do so. And you notice that if we try, like, they are defending, they have an advantage doing this. They can stay there and have the Symmetra turrets framing the door. We can stay on our side and have the Symmetra turrets framing the door, but we're not going fucking anywhere. And this teleporter is actually a trap. I think right now for your team. This teleporter is actually hurting your team. And I remember seeing this happen quite a lot in TF2 when playing Engineer, and I noticed very quickly that teleporters determine a lot about flow of where the battle goes and where people fight on the front line, where the front line is actually established. The Symmetra has so many turrets set up down here, she probably doesn't have them up above, she probably doesn't have them come around the back. Any other attack angle would be incredibly strong right now. But instead, everybody is fighting here. Everybody is fighting where their defense is strongest and going nowhere. And we need quite a lucky break to actually get out. And we're struggling doing so. And during all this time, they've got a teleporter built up. They probably have Molten Core built up. They have Res built up. They have so many powerful ultimates available. The teleporter is better for them than it is for us. Because they actually need it to defend, and they have a defender's advantage. So their teleporter is probably set up in a better defensive position, and they're going to struggle with it. And it's sort of a good example of, like, this is where Symmetra can fail in a catastrophic way. It's very much true in my mind that as a Symmetra player, you can completely determine how the battle flows, and so you have to be very aware of, like, where is a good approach right now? Where is a good attack angle? If you are going to try and play Symmetra offensively and try and play with an offensive teleporter, you have to make sure the teleporter is in a really good spot. Because if it isn't, you are literally just going to feed the enemy team 6 kills. Because people, especially at this level, will not have the sense to pull away. And so if you're looking to master Symmetra, you've really got to understand game flow and really understand the concept of where are they weak, where are they strong. So just moving around and trying to get into the backline, for example, if you put the teleporter in the corridor behind them, that can work amazingly. If you get around behind them and get into the clothing store as well, just through the point, that could also work amazing. If people are fighting on the point, you have a teleporter built up and you see people are dying, you can put the teleporter down somewhere nearby, have a sort of pseudo-res. It can work very effectively. Honestly, I would have also just been fine seeing like a shield generator go down over here somewhere and just make your push easier. Or you can even go up towards the main street and just put it down in like the large health room. And just have that extra hit points on your team to help push. Especially if you are running a solo healer, like as just the solo support, your team needs that support. And you notice that we push where the Symmetra isn't, we suddenly have a good time. I'm fine with us just putting a turret down or two. Reinhardt's just earth-shadowed us, that's honestly fine. Like, Reinhardt solo earth-shadowing us is actually a good trade, we are not a huge threat. I'd say putting down 2 turrets there is a little bit greedy. Just putting down 1 would have been fine, and just moving on. It just creates a constant irritation for people, like these turrets aren't really meant to kill people, they're just meant to slow them down. And so I think getting in and getting on this Mercy would have worked out better. I think that's part of why the Reinhardt earth-shadowed was he was expecting you to... Like, if we just moved in and ran at the Mercy right now, we would probably be okay. We'd be more of a threat, and that's sort of what he's looking for or expecting. He might have been trying for the Roadhog as well. Might see it easier on the kill cam. Like he was trying for the Roadhog and didn't get him somehow. Shadow? Question mark? Looks like the Roadhog just was high enough while dropping, I guess. You notice how badly this went? Because we just had no pushing power. And this is part of also playing a one trick. And it would not surprise me, I can't read half of what's going on in chat because this looks like Spanish to me. But you notice that there's instant tilting. And you might say it's you know, it's unfair, or people are abusing me, or shouting at me, or being angry at me. But it is not unjustified anger. And that to me is this is sort of where I get preachy about one tricks. Where if you're going to one trick a hero, and this is sort of where we take a moment and take a breather, let it play in the background while we're just setting up. If you're going to one trick a hero, and you are going to really hardcore dedicate to the one trick, you are going to lose games because of that. You are absolutely going to lose games because of that. And there are 5 other people on your team. It is not unjust for those 5 people to be annoyed with you. They are perfectly justified in that anger. You have to be able to deal with that anger. And whether you just say, yeah, no, I don't care about your SR, I care about mine, that's how I'm going to play, then sure. But they are justified in being angry with you. That isn't necessary to say that they are justified in abusing you, or they are justified in sort of getting incredibly toxic or incredibly aggro. But you cannot say at the end of this game, oh yeah, no, I had nothing to do with the loss. Some of that was absolutely on our shoulders. The teleporter was bad. The ability to push in was pretty much non-existent. We had limited support. Lucio would have been a lot stronger, for example. Could have very quickly, like, the Symmetra could... If their Symmetra sets up 6 turrets down here, and then you just speed boost and go around another way, it's incredibly powerful. Other hero picks would have worked a lot stronger. It's very, very evident that, hey, the Symmetra pick, not ideal. Not ideal at all. And even if you were highest on gold medals during that game, like just for sake of argument, if you ended up top gold on damage or eliminations, the eliminations were so small in number, the damage output was so low that it wouldn't be relevant in any way. And to me, it's a very crucial fact of there are people out there, and if you want to go and play Overwatch and want to be a one-trick pony, then you are within your rights to do so. What you will also find is that you will climb quite high because you will get very good at that hero. I think Symmetra is a bad choice for one-tricking, just because she's not viable or she's very weak in about half situations. Best one-trick by far is going to be Soldier 76. Mercy is very good to climb with, unfortunately. Like, if you are a competent Mercy player, and let's say you have a 55% win rate on Mercy, and you just keep consistently getting that 55% win rate, you will climb and climb and climb and climb and climb, and it just becomes down more to a little bit of luck and getting your team right and getting your team comp right, and then just you playing correctly. But she's quite easy to climb on. But what ends up happening, and I'll give a shout out to actually Ryan and Overwatch Central, they did a video very recently on Mercy mains and concept of Mercy mains, and Ryan even asked me for a quote, and I think I fucking nailed it with that quote. So I'm actually just going to read it if I can find it, because it's pretty good, and sort of the topic of Mercy mains in general, but it still applies to a lot of other mains, and it's sort of a lot of what I'm saying here. Where is it? There it is. So here's my speech on, well, Mercy mains, and probably works a lot on OTPs in general. At the end of the day, everyone is going to likely end up with 1 or 2 heroes they play more than others. That's fine. The issue of the heart of Mercy mains is simple. If they cannot play Mercy, whether due to someone else playing her or if the enemy team is shutting down Mercy properly, then they often find themselves completely outclassed when playing other heroes. This will also apply to Symmetra, by the way. Your basic mechanics will just start to fall behind where you rank up to. So if you somehow end up in Grandmaster as a Symmetra one trick, what will end up happening is your mechanics on any other hero will be so shit compared to everyone else that you will just get stomped. You will be of no use. You will be literal dead weight. And I will say that without a shadow of a doubt. Like, if you one trick to, and you know, this isn't necessarily shouting at this guy. This isn't necessarily being angry at this guy. This is very generalized. But if you are, you know, if you play Symmetra and go to GM, you will find yourself, if you cannot play Symmetra for whatever reason, or if Symmetra is non-viable, you will just be so weak on any other pick that you will start losing. And if you want to start branching out and being flexible, you will just have loss after loss after loss. You will plummet. Same is true for Mercy. It's less true these days for Lucio. I think Lucio's mechanical skill cap just like bumped up quite considerably. So yeah, I'd say a lot of DPS mains, it's shakier. It can kind of happen with Reinhardt slightly, but usually Reinhardts have a very solid game sense, so still there, but less so. Anyway, a lot of the anger towards Mercy mains comes from the complete lack of flexibility, and some of that is justified. If you cannot be flexible, your game is going to suffer as a result. This is true for any main. You'll end up with losses due to the weaknesses of that character. People get angry at Mercy mains in particular for 2 reasons. One, there is just more Mercy mains than any other main, so is more visible. And 2, it feels as though there are a disproportionate number of them at high ranks, so Mercy mains sort of tend to climb. As Mercy has few skills that cross over to other heroes, a top tier Mercy main can find themselves horrifically out of their depth with other heroes. The best way to fix this is by just playing Overwatch. Play other heroes, diversify. Or accept the fact that you're going to cause losses because you cannot switch, and then people are going to be angry with that choice. Personally, I think you're missing out on a large chunk of the game if you only play one hero, but if it's how you enjoy the game, then sure, you do you. But do not be shocked when people get frustrated. And so, I think if you are going to one trick, like pick... There's sort of this urge almost that, oh, I'm going to be known as the Widowmaker guy, right? I'm going to be Kefri 2.0, I'm going to be the Widow guy. Or I'm going to be the Hanzo guy, I'm going to be Ardagay 2.0. I'm going to be the Symmetra guy, I'm going to be the Torbjorn guy, I'm going to be the Junkrat guy. Unfortunately, right now, there already is a Junkrat guy, there already is a Torbjorn guy, there already is a Hanzo guy, there's already a Widowmaker guy, there's probably already a couple of Symmetra guys out there, there's definitely a ton of Mercy guys out there, there's 1 or 2 Ana guys out there, there's plenty of Reinhardt mains, Soldier mains just sort of blur into everything else, Genji mains blur into everything else. You notice that actually there's very few just sort of single Genji and Tracer mains. There's a couple. Shadowburn springs to mind instantly. Shadow is sort of another example, but even Shadow plays a lot of different heroes. So it's like this idea of, oh, I'm going to become known as this guy, it doesn't quite work in my mind. And I think if you wanted to become that, you've already missed the boat, basically. And yeah, it's a problem in Overwatch because if you aren't careful, you will just end up completely out of your depth. And then what can make it even worse is if a hero gets nerfed that you play a lot, then you will just... Said about contenders? Of course I am. But I didn't actually manage to watch any of it today. I'm going to actually watch a lot of the VOD after I'm done streaming. Good. Okay. Let's actually focus on the game now. I think I've done my speech. And yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, to me, like, I think you're missing out. Like I said, I think you're missing out on a large part of playing Overwatch if you try and one trick. By all means, feel free to focus on heroes, but don't be afraid to swap around every now and then.
Nothing makes me feel more
alive
God. Than when I'm one amongst the many.
Thank you, Night Owl. Beautiful. Always appreciated. Every tiny bit helps. So in general, like with Symmetra, how many turrets did we get up here? 1, 2. We have 2 here. We have 2, I'm guessing, underneath, and we have 2 over here. So, like I mentioned before, 2 turrets is enough to be annoying, but not enough to kill anything. 3 turrets is the magic number for kills. And I know that the 2 turrets on the bus are, are probably more there for harassment, but honestly, I still don't like them. So a common attack path for Numbani. We actually only have 2 turrets on the common attack path for Numbani, which is people will go this way, come up the stairs, and then push out here. If we only have 2 turrets on this, then that's nowhere near enough to stop anyone doing anything. So the big problem here is that we aren't actually doing much to actually stop a push. What I would say is that we probably want our 2 turrets like closer to their spawn. So if you put a couple, like, and generally I would try and put 3 turrets at the very least towards their spawn, and then 3 towards our base. The reason why is because when they start killing them in spawn and when we have regenerating turrets, if you try and put all 6 by their spawn, what happens is they kill all 6 and then you don't have enough turrets to put sort of defensively, or you can't have, like, what can happen is they push super aggressively while you're trying to still set up turrets, and then they'll just kill you. So I generally find like having, say, just put 3 up here, and then have like 3 on the back of the bus towards their spawn. And so when they come out, or when they come out the door, for example, if you have them by the door or by the little truck front in front of the door, you can actually get some damage out there. So you go out, you do that, and then you get some free charge. They kill the turrets, whatever. You have enough time to put 3 more down, sort of wherever you need it. Putting a 4th turret up here isn't necessarily a bad idea. I'd say like having 3 up here at the very least, bare minimum, and then having, like, I would say put 3 down here. That would usually be where I would go. If you're playing in a team like you are, actually in a group like you are as well, if you have someone mobile and flexible, if they're poking out and they can call out a direction, if you just, like, if they see that they're going normal or going balcony, then you can just put all 6 up here and just punish anything coming out of here. Because even if 1 or 2 people get killed by the turrets, that's still a huge for us. So that'll be fine. Where these turrets are now, though, I don't like it. Because I think no matter what direction they pick, you aren't going to get full bang for your buck. So you're going to get value out of these 2 turrets, but then the 2 turrets above aren't really going to do much, and the 2 turrets sort of below aren't really going to, unless they split up, which looks like they are doing. But even then you notice that these two turrets aren't really enough to get anything done. And so while they're encountering these packs of 2 turrets, they're not quite being effective. We get greedy and we run into a Reaper. Reaper in a small corridor, like I said before, if they don't panic, Reaper will win. If Reaper didn't panic, he just sort of shot us. And so it's an easy kill for him. And so we don't have time to build anything up. We sort of got greedy for charge on the low hit points Winston, but the important thing is we should survive the first fight. Like, high priority for Symmetra, in my mind, is generally to try and survive the first fight as best you can. Because if you can do that, then you can generally get a teleporter down, and anyone who's died can come back in if you really need it, or you can put a shield generator down and reinforce. When you die in the first fight with Symmetra, that's when you throw away a lot of her advantages, and it's tough. It's also why Symmetra can be a little bit weak at times, because what I sort of demonstrated before with the Magikarp effect is when Symmetra is low, when she doesn't have the shield, she doesn't have a generator up, like, you are weaker than most other heroes, which are this on the curve. So, this Sim. And so Sim is a little bit weaker. Unless they're pushing through tight corridors, which they kind of are on Numbani. Just to address the comment in chat from the coachee, Niblong. I went OTP Symmetra only in the last week of Season 4 to work on maps I usually don't pick. her. I'm guessing that's I usually don't pick her on. She's my favorite and most played hero, but in general I have a large hero. Yeah, that's okay. But again, you probably notice that people were getting very angry at you. Like, Symmetra on attack has huge weaknesses, huge liabilities. And in general, like, I have no problem, by the way, with people picking Symmetra on, like, 2CP, pick Symmetra, first point hold. Even, I'm generally actually okay with Symmetra on second point if you have, like, a Mercy or an Anna that's good. You can generally do pretty well with, like, a shield generator on second point. Not as bad as people think. Offensive Symmetras, I'm generally opposed to. Just because it's not as viable as other picks. It can work, and if it does work, it's usually the enemy team fucking up or getting greedy. So, for example, this to me was a good example of where the Symmetra pick could have really worked when we sort of came out of spawn and we saw that their team was really out of position. Like, this to me is just greedy as hell and stupid. This is just an easy opportunity. Nothing can really stop us doing it. The Roadhog's used his hook and then been killed by the McCree. Can't stay out here that much longer anyway. This Reinhardt's got no barrier left. This is just free kills. You scoop up kills here. You only lose a Hanzo. Boo fucking who, it's a Hanzo. Just push in and win. Like, the pull around here is just confusing to me. Like, how this was a loss, I don't know. I think we just get greedy here, and then we don't react to the fact that there's a turret fast enough, or the fact that our health dropped a bit low. It's also the weakness of having the mono healer and having the mono Zenyatta healer. Like, if you have a small healer, then people aren't going to be picked up in time. Torbjorn manages to survive everything, apparently, kills everyone and wins. Now's a good time for questions while I load into Battle.net, and yeah, I'll see you in part 3. Q&A. Woohoo! Questions should be about Symmetra, I guess, also about one trick, viability, I suppose, or just anything in general about one tricks. Feel free to ask about King of the Hill and Numbani. I've been doing a lot of Numbani lately. I'm getting a lot of Numbani. Hey, go figure. Ugh. I will also say, just sort of offhand, that like trying to one trick here at the end of the season seems kind of I really advise against it near Grandmaster, especially where people are trying to sort of rank up to get their rewards, because they will get very angry at you for throwing what people will see as throwing, I guess. You can already see Oki's question. Beautiful. Let's go. Wait, I need to mute Overwatch first.